Young ladies and gentlemen, it's very hot in Tanzania. That's in East Africa. It's very, very hot. The images circulating, they're chilling. The regime has taken a very firm decision. And despite this decision, the regime has fear. Yes, the Tanzanian president is in a panic that dare not speak its name. What's happening on the other side of the Tanzania? Let's take it easy for those who don't know because it's going to be the first time one approaches this Tanzanian affair. To give you the basic information, you will know, and we will continue to follow this news. Let's talk about Africa waking up, right? Even if at times in some countries things are fine, in others there's a revolution, it's not working, but we'll continue to follow. So, elections were held in Tanzania, I believe yesterday, October 29th, 2025. But the elections that were organized, they neutralized. The president neutralized all the opponents, all those who were truly capable and worthy of, they can validly represent the people, were neutralized. So the election took place, it was Turkish. Even the observers, international officials said the process was biased, and finally the people are angry. The people are demanding his departure. There you have it, we're asking for his departure. On time, where we are currently speaking of Arsalam is engulfed in flames and bloodshed. The populations of on the Tanzanian side, it's not like in Ivory Coast or Morocco, it's in train. No, they are still very determined on that side. Very, very determined because the party that has pushed this woman into power, this party has been in power since independence, according to the information we receive. Can you imagine? So the people are fed up. This lady came in power, I believe, if I don't, my mistake, that was in 2021, right? If I don't make a mistake. They thought she would be more open. But the people understood that came to continue the system that she found in place. And the people Tanzanian is no longer willing to let himself to do. So what happens really in Tanzania? That's what this is about. News that we will be talking about in the framework of this geopolitical conference dedicated to world news. There you go. But before we continue, I'll tell you, request to share as much as possible supporting the Tanzanian people who do not then to defend its sovereignty. So it has to be said that it's chaos, electoral and unprecedented repression. At the moment, the internet was cut off from in a completely different way in Tanzania. There you have it. In the on election night, the government has ordered the blocking of social networks, even VPNs that allow control. The systems were blocked. And these protesters were dispersed at live ammunition. In Tanzania, they don't mess around. No, the people are not joking. The power. Also, don't joke at all. No, not at all. All. A curfew was decreed yesterday from 6 p.m. at 6 a.m. The army was deployed to protect the infrastructure essential. The tone is firm on the Tanzanian side. This is what the regime calls protecting stability, but fear of the people that he is trying to suppress. That is to say, the repression is at such a level but the people are not giving up. Since the beginning of the day on this October 30th, 2025, the Tanzanian people emerged largely from Dar es Salaam in the capital. They came out in droves. They just keep walking to walk. So they are demanding the departure of the president. They don't want this anymore. System, I'm telling you, it's the alarm clock. And these awakenings will happen pretty much everywhere. Some will try to suffocate. As we saw in Ivory Coast, that's already stifled. On the coast in Ivory Coast, it's been hushed up. Currently in Ivory Coast, it's all about arrests, which are ongoing, settling of scores. That's it. The situation is the same in Cameroon, remains tense, very tense. There you have it. But what remains clear is the same things are happening to produce all over Africa. That means that the youth have understood the importance of standing up to ask change. But in Tanzania, these guys are clean shaven, huh? Those guys are clean shaven. They're really very clean shaven. And in their rage, they want the system at all costs change. And so what needs to be said, it's a highly charged election. The CCM party is accused of lockdown. The Shama party Mapinduzi, who has been in power since independence is the name of the party, neutralized the main candidates, the opposition, and what provoked it, such as we said at the beginning, the anger of people. So the opposition is silenced. Several political figures, including Tundu Lissu, were placed under house arrest, monitored or prevented from expressing himself. So civil society also reacted. Local NGOs denounce an election. That's just a facade. Those are the local NGOs. And these NGOs are calling for the intervention of the African Union and SADC. Local NGOs, where you see now NGOs are denouncing the election was rigged. It must be understood that it's really hot. It's too much blatant, and it is this blatantness that raises the Tanzanian people. So it must be said that, and when the democracy is becoming a theatrical backdrop, the people eventually set the scene ablaze. That's very clear. And so what follows? What is it? It's that in Tanzania, there has a warning sign for Africa the East. We have the weakening of the model Tanzanian, who has been considered since for a long time, it was considered a stable country. Tanzania joins the list today African nations in crisis post-election and in search of sovereignty. There you have it, whether it be the Kenya, Uganda. These countries fear today a spread of chaos at their border. SADC itself has called an emergency meeting. SADC, it's like the CDO on the West African side, so that it's in their area in Africa, in the East. We're talking about SADC. So then that means the situation is very, very serious situation on the Tanzanian side. And the European chancelleries are in a kind of silence and call for calm, but avoid condemn the Tanzanian regime. Therefore, still on the Tanzanian side, there are some who are calling for an African mediation. Voices are being raised for a framed transition to the image from a Malagasy model to the Nigerian one. There you have it. And there is a rise of a youth unleashed. The young protesters are demanding an end of the monopoly of the CCM, the ruling party, and a movement and a new one. They call for a new social contract. They want something new. That's it. So is it that the power is in the process of back down? Question mark. But faced with the people's determination, the way in which Tanzanians are determined, everything suggests that the power risk of retreating. Yes, it is a woman who is in power. So at a certain point, power risk of retreating. But for now, it's very, very hot. So it was the introduction concerning the situation in Tanzania. We will continue to follow everything that will to follow. We'll come back to this. Thank you to everyone.